the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
In today's top stories, as part of his official visit as special envoy of the President of the Republic, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Ahmed Attaf was received today in Kampala by the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, to whom he handed a message. Algeria has welcomed the declaration by Somalia and Ethiopia aimed at finding joint solutions to overcome their outstanding differences. In the Western Sahara Fire, the collective of Sahrawi human rights defenders in Western Sahara has denounced the war crimes and crimes against humanity that the Sahrawis are enduring in the occupied territories, calling on the international community to investigate these crimes. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Salmani. As part of his official visit as special envoy of the President of the Republic, the Minister of State in charge of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, was received today in Kampala by the President of the Republic of Uganda, Mr. Yoweri Museveni. On this occasion, the Minister of State handed to the Ugandan President a written message from the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, and conveyed to him his brotherly greetings and assured him of his aspiration to continue their joint efforts to promote Algerian-Ugandan relations to the highest possible level. The meeting was an opportunity to review the positive results achieved within the framework of the implementation of the decisions taken by the leaders of the two countries. On the occasion of the latter state visit to Algeria in March 2023, the two sides also evoked the most important issues on the agenda of the African Union and discussed current issues at the continental and international levels, such as the latest developments in the occupied Palestinian territories and in the Middle East region in general, as well as the decolonization process in Western Sahara. Meanwhile, Mr. Attaf held a working session with his Ugandan counterpart, Haji Abubakar Gigi Odongo. The talks focused on the preparations for the holding of the second Joint Intergovernmental Committee and ways to optimize this bilateral event in order to achieve more positive results in the consolidation of the Algerian-Ugandan relations, particularly in the fields of defense, economy, energy, intra-trade and higher education. The Secretary of State to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in charge of African Affairs, Selma Bakhta Mansouri, has been received by the President of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré. To him, she conveyed a message from the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune. During the meeting, Ms. Mansouri gave an update on the cooperation between Algeria and Burkina Faso, two brotherly countries that share a common history and a common future. She also discussed ways of boosting cooperation in various sectors, such as academic cooperation, the development of socio-economic sectors, and humanitarian issues. As you followed in our top stories, Algeria has welcomed the declaration by Somalia and Ethiopia aimed at finding joint solutions to overcome their outstanding differences and to hold technical negotiations to this end, according to a press release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs. Algeria also expressed, according to the same source, its hope that this agreement, in harmony with Algeria's approach of resolving conflicts through dialogue and peaceful means, will contribute to bringing the two countries to establish lasting security and mobilize efforts and energies for development and prosperity in the region. Algeria welcomed the mediation efforts deployed by the Republic of Turkey, a brotherly country, to reach this agreement. The Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Army General Serge Ngriha, has chaired at the National School of Military Health in the 1st Military Region the annual meeting of military health executives. After the welcoming ceremony given by the commander of the 1st Military Region and the Central Director of Military Health Services, the Army General followed a presentation by the Central Director of Military Health Services on the progress of the development plan of the Directorate, in which he took stock of the activities listed under the work scheduled for the 2023-24 financial year. Foreign Affairs Minister Ahmed Attaf has had a telephone conversation with the Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates, of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, Ayman As-Safadi. During the conversation, the two sides exchanged views on developments in the situation in Syria, notably on the means and prospects of action to support the Syrian brothers to gather their ranks and preserve the unity of their country and the integrity of their territories, and to put an end to the blatant opportunistic attacks by Israel on its sovereignty. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has expressed deep concern over the recent violations of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity by the Zionist entity, reports UN Info. In a statement sent to journalists by his spokesperson, Secretary-General Antonio Guterres stressed the urgent need to calm violence on all efforts in Syria.
The Secretary General is deeply concerned by the recent and extensive violations of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The Secretary General is particularly concerned over the hundreds of Israeli airstrikes on several locations in Syria, stressing the urgent need to de-escalate violence on all fronts throughout the country. The Secretary General stresses that the 1974 disengagement of forces agreement remains in force, condemning all actions that would be inconsistent with the agreement, and calls on the parties to the agreement to uphold their obligations under this instrument, including by ending all unauthorized presence in the area of separation and refraining from any action that would undermine the ceasefire and stability in the Golan. In this period of rapid change, the Secretary General underscores that while maintaining public order, it is imperative to support credible, orderly, and inclusive transitional arrangements in Syria.
Now, the Palestinian Ministry of Health has announced that a Zionist occupation army drone has targeted Palestinian orthopedic surgeon Said Judah, resulting in his martyrdom on his way from Kamal Adwan Hospital to Al Adwa Hospital in the north of the Gaza Strip to treat patients. Said Boughazid tells us more in this report.
The Palestinian Ministry of Health said that the quadricopter had targeted Said Judah, killing on the spot the only surgeon in northern Gaza, which has been under siege for more than 2 months. The Zionist army forbids anyone to enter or leave northern Gaza and imposes a siege on the area, accompanied by airstrikes that kill and injure dozens of people every day. With the death of Judah, the number of medical personnel killed by the Zionist occupation has reached 1,057 since the beginning of the genocidal war on the besieged enclave, said the Palestinian Ministry of Health. It called on all international organizations, notably human rights defenders, to protect hospitals and health workers in the light of the ongoing genocidal war on the Gaza Strip, urging health professionals across the world to show solidarity with their colleagues in the Gaza Strip, which has been shelled by the Zionist entity for more than 14 months. The humanitarian situation remains catastrophic in the north of the Gaza Strip, where the population has received virtually no aid for more than 66 days, deplored the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA.
Now in New York, the Associate Administrator of the United Nations Development Program highlighted the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza and the West Bank, nearly 1 year after the escalation of conflict in the region, saying there are 40 to 50 million tons of debris that the war has caused.
The World Bank UN joint assessment earlier this year already put the damage to infrastructure at $18.9 billion. So almost 1 year on, you can imagine the amount of damage, right? And the different estimates say that there's 40 to 50 million tons of debris that the war has caused, right? In terms of humanitarian situations, very quickly, in terms of food, right? And we know that half of the people who depend on WFP food assistance has not been able to receive this for the last 3 months. Estimates say that 1.8 million people are in phase 3 of the IPC, food security rank.
In the Western Sahara file, the collective of Sahrawi human rights defenders in Western Sahara, CODESA, has denounced the war crimes and crimes against humanity that the Sahrawis are enduring in the occupied territories, calling on the international community to investigate these crimes. The details in this report by Said Bouazi.
CODESA underlined in a statement published on the occasion of the 76th anniversary of the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that although the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a historical document contains inalienable rights and noble values aimed at preserving and protecting all peoples and nations without distinction of race, color, sex, language, or political opinion at the level of occupied Western Sahara, Morocco continues since its occupation of the territory on October 31st, 1975, to commit war crimes and crimes against humanity against Sahrawi civilians and to confiscate the fundamental rights of the Sahrawi people to self-determination and sovereignty over their natural resources. CODESA urges in this respect the international community to adopt urgent measures aimed at putting pressure on Spain, the administering power in Western Sahara, and on the Moroccan occupation force to complete the decolonization process in Western Sahara and apply international humanitarian law to the territory through the International Committee of the Red Cross as a mechanism for the protection of Sahrawi civilians in occupied Western Sahara. The collective also calls for an end to the crimes of genocide committed with bombs and drones against Sahrawi civilians by the Moroccan occupier, to conduct an international investigation into these crimes and to work to end the impunity enjoyed by those responsible for these crimes, pleading for compensation for victims and their families in accordance with applicable standards. The Sahrawi NGO also asks the international community to put pressure on the two powers, the administrator and the occupier, to open the region to delegations from human rights organizations and the foreign press, trade unions and parliamentary bodies. CODESA also draws the attention of the international community to the systematic and repressive campaign orchestrated by the Moroccan occupying power against Sahrawi human rights defenders who are at serious risk, threatening their fundamental right to life and to physical and personal security, urging it to thwart it.
You're still listening to Radio Algeria International. This is the English-speaking service.